Once every few years, if not longer, you stumble across a series that shines in its own unique light. One that doesn't just feel like an anime to be sold, but rather a piece of art to be seen. I have very few anime that I'd point to and classify them as such, but Revue Starlight is most certainly one of them. It's one of those stories that even if I didn't like it, I would have completed it just for the experience that it delivered. The story follows a cast of 9 girls who all train and perform at a school to become theatrical stars. All 9 of them share a similar dream of reaching the top and becoming the top star, while we witness a plethora of personal-driven stories unfold over its 12-episode run. The way the anime functions is bizarre in the best way imaginable. Right away after appearing to be a cute girls doing cute things show for a majority of its first episode, it throws you into a battle anime where a talking giraffe, yes, you heard that right, holds auditions to determine who will be the top star and get their dream stage made. They fight in a performance to determine their rank, hoping by the end they will be number 1. The anime uses fights and general scenes to build really personal and emotionally gripping stories where most of its cast gets thoroughly fleshed out to the point you care about all of them, wishing all 9 could win and not just your favorite character. It's quite hard to predict and even understand what the series wants to be for a good chunk of it, since most episodes feel grounded in reality for a large portion, but then near the end of the episode, feels like the girls may be on some form of drugs, because how else could this talking animal and these over-the-top fights truly be happening? Because really, fights in a form of theater all at the same time, someone had to be on something. Having everything be set in a setting revolving around theater, these song and dance performances helps make Revue Starlight stick out immediately. Most times when you see an all-girl cast in some form of school, you know what to expect, where with this series, immediately the viewer questions some of the tropes and if they would be here. Now the show does rely on pandering shots, especially near the beginning, with a lot of baiting meant for the viewer watching, but quickly finds its groove in character writing and directing. Having fight scenes actually be used to tell a story, and for the characters to overcome their own problems, is a refreshing take when it comes to action anime, especially since this really isn't an action anime, but it is all at the same time. Now often anime fight scenes are shallow and pretty one-dimensional, but here every fight that you see, and even then you can probably call them a performance, are used to express the character's feelings, and you feel emotional weight behind every move and every song. Having these more supernatural scenes be used to often conclude a character arc, or at the very least help them grow at an emotional level, made every single audition emotionally gripping, because even when it just looks like it's going to be pretty looking action, it always ended up becoming some form of character development by the end, with the overall school scenes being relatively fun. I do wish there was more downtime in this anime, as it often feels like each episode or every couple of episodes with these sort of scenes, they were just used to move the next story forward for whoever we were going to be focusing on next, which often left me with this feeling of I'd have liked to see a few more episodes, not so plot relevant, sprinkled around, where it was just the daily life of some of these characters and not have it be used for anything other than a slice of life scene. Since all the downtime we do see in this anime, it's used to establish characters' motivations to move them into the spotlight of the next audition, where this is one of those series that would benefit massively by just having more simplistic episodes, even if they were only there every 4 episodes, give or take. When it comes to characters, I was quite happy with this entire cast. For being as large as it was, I'd say for 12 episodes they did the best one could hope for. Not all the characters get as fleshed out as the others, but I can safely say I felt like everyone had some form of growth, which meant the anime felt fulfilling without anything ever feeling that wasted or underwhelming. Of course I'd have loved to see more development for a few, sure, but overall I was quite satisfied. What the structure of the anime allows for is these really engaging stories to be told in a fast enough but not overly rushed way. Karen and Hikari, these 2 childhood friends, are always the main stars. They start the anime off and they end it. It's their story and it's amazing from beginning to end. But how characters like Futaba or even Karako are executed is just as memorable as the lead story. The 2 are also childhood friends, but using this stage they tackle the issues they now face as they reach closer to being adult, as what once passed off as okay as kids now seems to be holding the other down, and what could happen to the 2's relationship is one of the more gripping stories in the anime. To then how you have Banana's arc, yes, you also heard that right as well, there's a character named Banana, and she just loves the past year with her friends so much she wants to hold on to it forever no matter the cost, and where that takes her with how her story tangles into the main one. You have all these really moving and personal led stories that makes you want to root for everyone, and you hope there's a way for there to be a 9-way tie when these auditions all come to an end. Usually a cast this large, you don't end up loving them all equally, because either some receive more screen time than the others, or you just prefer the personality. Here I can say I never wanted more of any one character or style of arc. All the ones in this anime were thoroughly enjoyable and left a lasting impression on me. When a story can craft such gripping arcs for its character and design these personalities that stay with you for months, if not years, that's when you know the anime is something truly special. special, which Revue Starlight certainly is. This is one of those stories that bounces around reality and fiction a fair amount, playing with some surrealist imagery at times, one where you don't truly know what's real or fake, if it all is or none of it, but by the time you reach the midway point, things start to click more. Then when you reach the end, and the fourth wall is broken, everything comes full circle and it truly becomes a piece of art. When watching, I kept thinking this would be one of those anime, the kind where I'd recommend it for years to come, not because it's my favorite series ever, but because it did something so creatively interesting that it's a crime not to watch it. When you learn what this draft is and why it was there, holding these auditions where girls fight with weapons on a stage that matches their emotions, what the point of the top star truly was, and how it concludes, it ends up becoming one of the most unique school anime to ever exist, as it managed to be a great music anime, a stunning action anime, but most importantly, a phenomenal character-driven series. It's not perfect, not all scenes the characters are in are all that exciting or really interesting, especially in the first half when the show is still finding its groove with how to present its characters and this school environment in general, but all the uncertainty surrounding the characters from the late night auditions to their past slowly being explored, it finds a way to tell a really compelling set of stories that, though its main characters are the star, everyone is equally memorable, even if some were skimmed over more than you would personally like. It's hard to craft stories that manage to be this different in terms of structure, yet also feel so familiar, but it's even rare to find one that can be this satisfying and memorable that you just want to call it a piece of art. This is one of the best animated shows of 2018, and maybe you're scratching your head as to why I'm saying this, because sure, the action is obviously well animated, but it's a lot of general school style shots. But here's the thing, sure, the overall look to the movement is solid and isn't groundbreaking, but for how much action was in this anime, it had no right to be as creative and polished as it was. Often 3D is used in areas that can't be done in hand-drawn animation. Depending on how much time they have, polish might be there or it won't. With almost every action scene, I'd see these movements that surprised me they weren't done in 3D, as to nail the fluidity I just witnessed should be damn near impossible or incredibly difficult. The way characters move feels absolutely human and realistic. When I watched these performances, I thought I was watching real people when it came to a lot of the medium-based shots, or how their arms and legs would respond in such a quick yet believable way, because how they moved never felt animated but rather realistic. Every sword swung, arrow fired, every bit of movement felt well thought out, as if these fights and performances were never meant to just be exciting for a cheap scene, but rather they needed to tell a story, and in order to do so you had to make sure the characters radiate emotion from their body movements to general attacks, and that's exactly what we got. The general polish to this show is solid all around, a few hiccups here or there, but as a whole it feels like modern anime through and through. But when you see the extra level of polish and care that goes into these scenes, could even call them the heart of the anime, these late night auditions, that's when it really sticks out as being one of the best animated shows of 2018. How they managed to blend reality and fiction with the general feeling of their school was extremely remarkable. Now most of what you see feels like a school, nothing out of the blue, but they have enough detail in this building and the characters' rooms to give them a sense of identity, as if it mattered and actually belonged, as if people actually lived here and it wasn't a random shot with no life behind it. And then when you see how they transition from the normal to absurd, it's a smooth and elegant transition that goes all out in beautifully hand-drawn stages to gorgeous effects sprinkled everywhere that you can possibly look. Not to mention the repetitive but beautiful transformation scenes never got old, with the characters all feeling memorable with their designs and the costumes that they would wear usually being the most unique feature to help give them a sense of identity in the performance. Despite being similar, they all had subtle differences to help give them their own sense of identity. For starting off as a series that I thought would be a normal school anime at the start, to ending as one of the most visually creative I have ever seen, I can safely say it's damn near perfect in its visual department, especially since visuals are a big factor as to why this anime actually works. The voice acting is rather fascinating, as a good chunk are newcomers to the world of acting, and the others have done quite a few shows in the past. And the reason it's so intriguing is you would expect all these voice actors would have had dozens of roles under their belt, because most of the acting in the show is simply phenomenal. The voices are unique, some sound familiar to other characters you may have seen before in the past, but the range and level of emotion that was able to be conveyed by pretty much everyone was truly remarkable. Some noticeable moments for me definitely were Futaba as well as Karako. When they get their arc and time to shine, you have both of them really delivering a performance of the I don't care but care what you think, from the smallest fluctuations in their voice to really make you buy into these characters and how they were feeling. Or how you'd have a character like Banana who nailed the general positive attitude but made it feel refreshing while not being the same character we've seen 1,000 times over, which I thought she would be at the start of the series, but thanks to the genuine voice behind her character, it helped establish her as a person rather than just a character. Though on the topic of Banana, there was one point in the anime where her character takes a turn, and without going into specifics, her voice changes from amazing to alright. The best way to describe it is her character starts acting cold, and her acting really felt mediocre in the these scenes. Past that, however, I loved her voice, which was like 90% of the anime. Though I will say Karko had my personal favorite voice out of all the girls due to how she nailed the spoiled brat but cute voiceover all at the same time. That kind of voice that makes you think she's spoiled, but at the same time you kinda get why people spoil her. I hope to hear all these actors in more anime very soon, as this was one talented group of actors who really could turn a lot of these mediocre characters we see in other anime into something a bit more special. The music was also amazing, which was important especially as this style of theater is both a play and a musical. And it felt as if all these songs we heard in the series told a different story, with a combination of character writing mixed in with the animation feeling emotional, tied together with the music as this bow. It crafts this emotionally gripping play that means something. It's not just a fun song or fun action scene, it's a personal story with how these elements work together, and if one was lesser in quality than the other, then the story as a whole would have taken a hit. But because areas like the music were made in such high quality, the series benefits greatly. I really consider Revue Starlight a piece of art. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I don't think it needed to be. This was a new way of tackling character-driven stories by using this theater to explore the characters' past, future, and issues that they currently face, while we witness this cast grow and develop. By using this secret audition held by a talking animal, it manages to make each episode feel familiar, but all at the same time completely artistic with how often it turns the medium upside down in order to help it stick out from the crowd. I definitely think 14 to 16 episodes is what this anime needed, allowing for more simplistic episodes so we could see more scenes just there to be the daily life of these characters rather than a gateway to a new arc. I also think the first half has the most noticeable inconsistencies within the show, as it feels like it takes a bit before it manages to nail the style that it's going for. But even with all that said, upon rewatching it for a second time for this review, I still left just as impressed as the first time. So I award the series my seal of approval. This is one of the most unique shows that you could watch this year, and even if it appears not to be the style of anime you generally enjoy, give it a shot because I doubt you'll find something as creative as this for quite a while. Now if you want to watch something similar to Starlight, I have two recommendations. Ever since watching episode 1 of this series, I was reminded of an anime known as Yurikuma. This is a much weirder show than Starlight, but this talking giraffe made me remember the Yuri Bears from Yurikuma and how I didn't know what I was watching, but I definitely wanted to see more, so I highly recommend it. And lastly, Utena, just because not enough people talk about it anymore. As well, it deals with a lot of surrealist imagery, so if you like the more out there aspects of review, you probably will get a kick out of Utena. But that's all for this review. Let me know your thoughts on Starlight or the review down in the comment section below. Remember to leave a like if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. There's also my Patreon to help directly support the channel even more if you so wish, but until next time everyone, please take care, and remember, if you're ever feeling bad about yourself, always know there's probably someone out there named Banana.